From 9 on Your Side Sports, Cincinnati's longest-running sports talk show on television. This is Sports of All Sorts with Reggie Wilson.
What up? Welcome to Sports of All Sorts. Football season is officially over, here in Cincinnati, that is. So it's time to talk some hoops. And Xavier gave the home crowd plenty to cheer about to start 3 straight Big East games at the SOAS Center. Musketeers hosting St. John's in the fastest 40 minutes with Mike Anderson. Najee Marshall starts fast off the inbound. Iron Two-Kind puts X on the board. Then the Red Storm go on a run. Kiki Tandy's like, run this. Kiki, do you love me? 12 points off the bench, X down 4. About 30 seconds later, Najee in his bag. Steps into a 3. It's a 3-point game. He's not done. A little later, Najee's like, are you seriously going to leave me open? Do you not learn that 3 is cash? Team high 20 points. Then it turns into the Tyreek Jones show. When he dunks, it's like he's mad at everybody. Thunderous throwdown, X down 1. Next possession, the big man's got some finesse too. Around the rim, count it, and 1. Xavier takes the lead. Back to what he does well though. Off the feed, he tries to tear down the rim. Finished with another double-double, 12 points, 12 boards. Second half, Paul Scruggs gets it started with the 3-ball. X goes up 5. A little later, pulling away, Scruggs. Big drip from 3. He scored 14. St. John's made it interesting toward the end, but X holds on to win 75-67, their 10th straight win over the Red Storm.
Each game's going to be hard in this league. And, you know, again, I've said it before, I think this is the best conference in the entire country. It's an honor to play in it. And, you know, it's going to be next game up. You know, we're obviously happy we were able to beat St. John's today, but we're going to have a tough game coming up here with Seton Hall on Wednesday.
We stuck together through the adversity moments. Especially this game, there's a bunch of runs by both teams. And I feel like, you know, we stick together. We got stops when we need to get stops. We got kills. And I feel like down the stretch, we just executed Coach Steele's game plan.
Joining me is our guy Mo Egger. Hear him every day on ESPN 1530. Also catch him on 700 WLW and The Athletic. I always feel like I have to do that long intro for you, but how you doing?
I'm well. Do I have to sing?
No.
Okay.
No.
All right.
I got you covered.
I don't know if it was karaoke night.
No. I'm good. You're good. So, X the only crosstown team to win this weekend. Mm-hmm. What's your reaction to their win today?
That's a good win. Yeah, it's the St. John's team that had beaten Arizona, beaten West Virginia. Mm-hmm. You know, people kind of gave up on them early in the season. A lot of people didn't like the Mike Anderson hire.
I know.
And then they lose to Vermont, mm-hmm. a quality team. That was a good win today. You wonder what the final margin would have been like had they not turned it over 19 times. Because it felt like there was a stretch in the first half. I think they finished with 13 turnovers in the first half. I could be wrong about that, but there was a stretch in the first half where it felt like they were just begging St. John's to stay in the game.
Yeah.
You mentioned Kiki Tandy, and I think he's kind of the key to their team. Look, they're probably the core 4. We kind of know what these guys are. Mm-hmm. They're probably not going to be a great outside shooting team all year long.
Right.
Travis Steele has kind of remade Xavier basketball in terms of their buy-in defensively, but Kiki Tandy was, you know, really highly touted.
Yeah.
It took him a while to get on the court. It took him a while to look like he belongs on the court, and he certainly did today.
Yeah, and hitting those threes. He's gaining more confidence. They need more shot makers on the floor.
Yeah, and he's one. I mean, he can do things, or at least has the potential to do some things that maybe some of those upperclassmen can't. So, yeah, that was a really good win. You talked about having 3 straight games at the SOAS Center in a league where it feels like everybody's going to be jumbled really, really tightly together. You've got to take advantage of opportunities at home, mm-hmm. and they certainly did today.
Yeah. So, Najee Marshall, 15 first-half points. He kind of kept them in it in the first half. They weathered that Red Storm, if you will pardon the pun. You like what I did there?
Very good.
Yeah, what did you like from his performance today?
That he scored. I mean, as simple as it sounds, that he scored, because when you watch Xavier struggle, and to a degree, it doesn't feel like, if you've watched him game in and game out, that the record is as good as it is. Mm-hmm. But you're wondering where the scoring is going to come from. And let's face it, against good teams, they're going to have a hard time winning, especially on the road if Najee Marshall isn't, if not the best player on the court, the most productive scorer.
And he exerted himself today, as
no doubt.
He should.
Absolutely. Yeah, he was assertive, he was aggressive, and you're going to need more of that because nothing against any of those other players. I think Paul Scruggs is really, really good, and Tyreek Jones is certainly a force on the inside. But if you think back to the last time Xavier made a deep run in the NCAA tournament, it's because Trayvon Blewett got him buckets when they needed buckets. Somebody's going to have to do that for the Xavier team to realize its full potential, and the guy who's most likely to do that is Najee.
So you got Seton Hall. That's a tough one. Creighton coming up before hitting the road to play Marquette, who's always tough. How do you see these games playing out for X?
If they take care of the basketball better than they did today, there's no reason why they can't win those next two.
And Coach Steele was kind of frustrated with them at the end. He looked kind of mad that they were doing some things. I don't think he said stupid, but there were some stupid things that he didn't like from them.
Yeah, look, they're very much, they're kind of like seemingly every NCAA tournament hopeful team in college basketball where they're very, very far on the offensive end from a finished product. I mean, I think the good news if you're a Xavier fan is in college basketball, nobody's great. Everybody's got flaws. Xavier certainly has their share of theirs, but not enough that they can't overcome.
Right. All right, so switching to the other crosstown team, UC lost a legend today. Chuck Maychok passed away today. A lot of people describe him as very colorful. One of your friends, what is his legacy here in Cincinnati?
Fun. It's one of the most fun people I've ever been around. You know, he was encyclopedic with his knowledge of UC basketball. He was a homer as a broadcaster. I say that endearingly. He was a homer. But whether you were a listener or as I did for 16, 17 years, if you had the pleasure of working with or spending time with Chuck, you had fun. I mean, he was one of the funniest people ever, and often not intentionally. He would often say and do things that he would have to laugh at his own expense at. But I mean, he just was one of the most fun, colorful, interesting people I've ever been around. And I'm telling you, nobody loved coaching and teaching, and nobody loved UC basketball more than Chuck Maychok.
All right, well, switching gears to the Bengals. So the Patriots, it came out yesterday that they're going to get some type of discipline for spying on the Bengals. I don't know why they did it, why they felt the need to do it. It still doesn't make sense, but what do you make of it?
Because of who it is, it's a big deal. If that's Here's my take, and I wish the Bengals would be caught doing something like that, because that would tell me the Bengals care enough to try to cheat. I am perhaps giving Bill Belichick a benefit of the doubt that he doesn't deserve. I find it hard to believe that with his legacy already a little, not tarnished, but just smudged, I find it hard to believe that he's going to knowingly ask somebody to do what they've already got caught doing before. I have a hard time believing that. So, the question is there a connection between what we saw on video and the football department of the Patriots? I don't buy that there was. If there wasn't, they're going to do something to them. They're going to punish them, and they should. But the punishment isn't going to be as extreme as it would have been had there been knowledge of this by Bill Belichick or somebody in the football ops department. And I need evidence to suggest that Bill Belichick knew this was happening, or somebody on the football side of it knew this was happening, and I don't think we're going to get that.
All right, just wanted to wrap up with other big news this week. Sam Weiss passes away. Honestly, the last guy that Bengals have good memories of as far as playoff success. How big is this loss?
I'll use as a fan, I'll use the same word to describe Sam Weiss that I did Chuck. Fun. Football coaches are rarely fun, and to me, the fun part of sports are personalities. Sam Weiss was a personality. He had a coaching feud with Jerry Glanville. He said, you don't live in Cleveland, you live in Cincinnati. He was a character, and sports are more fun when they're characters. Now, that should not dilute the coaching accomplishments, because while I think he was a coach in Tampa for 4 years, Cincinnati in 8, the overall record is kind of unremarkable. In 1988, think of who was coaching. Chuck Noll, Don Shula, Bill Parcells, Joe Gibbs, Bill Walsh, Tom Landry, Marv Levy. Those are all Hall of Famers. Sam Weiss won more games that year than all of them.
Wow.
How about that? So, and did it with an innovative style that teams continued to people derided then, but teams continue to use to this day. He was a forward thinker. He was an outside-the-box thinker. And he was the a kind of personality that just made the Bengals fun, and in 1988, the coolest team in the NFL. And I just think we need more personalities like that. So yeah, I think of the word fun.
All right, well, we'll definitely say rest in peace to Coach Weiss.
Absolutely.
Our thoughts with his family. Mo, I appreciate you taking the
problem.
time. As always, come back anytime.
Anytime. Very good. I'll sing.
All right, I'm looking forward to that.
Very good.
All right, thanks, Mo. We're coming back talking UC Bearcats basketball. Stay right there. Let's go back to Saturday. UC on the road taking on Tulane, trying to avoid a letdown. First half, Mamadou Diarra throw it down, big fella. Putback slam gives the Bearcats a 6-point lead. It's a dunk party. Not even a minute later, Chris Vogt hangs on the rim. He scored a team-high 21 points, lead up to 8. Keith Williams in his bag in the first half. Dunk you very much. 16 first-half points, finished with 18, UC by 10. Trey Scott only scored 3 points in the game, came right there from that corner. Bearcats feeling good, up 39-32 at the half. Jaron Cumberland scoreless until that point right there, rattles in the 3. 6-point game, UC down 2 now. Cumberland goes to work being aggressive, putting the ball on the floor, gets the bucket and the foul. He finished with 10 points, then the wheels fell off. Combo punch of Tashawn Hightower and Christian Thompson, just too much down the stretch. Couple that with the fact that UC only scores 1 basket in the last 4 minutes, and it was basically garbage time. So tough. Tulane gets the victory, 76-71. So the Bearcats go 1-1 to start conference play. Joining me to talk about it is Justin Williams. You can read him over on The Athletic. Justin, thanks for taking the time. How you doing?
Appreciate it. Glad we were able to make it happen, Rich.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. All right. So what happened? What happened?
It's an inconsistent team, and I think they had some good momentum. Probably the 3 games before that were arguably their best 3 of the year. They had a good win at home against Tennessee, went on a neutral site, lost to Iowa, who's a really good offensive team. They hung with them, came back from a big deficit, played really well in the second half, and then
looked encouraging.
Yeah, it looked encouraging, and then they had that big break at the holidays, come back and really put it to UConn, come out, start fast. I think they're up 12-4 or 14-2, something like that. And after that game, you could hear all the talks about them turning the corner and things starting to come together, and maybe that break being what they needed. And then they go on the road, they get up 11 in the first half on Tulane, a team that they should beat even on the road. And Coach Brandon's talked about this team struggles with adversity. They go on islands, that's the way he puts it. And in the second half, they came out, they turned the ball over a few times. Tulane starts hitting shots, they start hitting threes, and you could see they just kind of went into their shell. Tulane chipping away, keeps coming back, they tie it up, and then that last stretch where UC just doesn't score basically for 4 minutes. You mentioned the bucket they had was kind of meaningless at that point. And I think they finished with 17 turnovers, 10 of them in the second half. It's just an inconsistent team, and good teams play the way they do against UConn, and they go on the road and beat bad teams that same way. And inconsistent teams, they have good games at home, but then they can't finish it, and I think that's their problem so far.
And it seems like they have the right mentality. We were both at the presser last week when Trey Scott was like, anybody try to underestimate us because of our record, it's going to be a long night for them. So, they have the right attitude, but it's just not translating to the wins on the court.
Yeah, and the Trey Scott's one of those guys who he's been in this program for a long time. Jaron Cumberland, Keith Williams, those guys, they know what winning feels like. They know what good teams feel like because they've been on them previously. And I think all those pieces are there, but you have a new coach, a new staff. There's a lot of new players on the roster outside of those guys. And so I think even if those guys know what it's like to be a good team and knows what it takes to be a good team, the whole team just hasn't been able to put it together, the whole team hasn't gelled. And so I think that's what Brandon's talking about in terms of players going on islands. It's not that they're not a close team. I think all these guys like each other. They just haven't played together that well. They don't know each other that well. They don't know the system that well. And so I think then it's easier to kind of internalize it when things start to go wrong. And you just see it show up, whether it was earlier in the season or unfortunately at Tulane the other day.
Yeah, so Keith Williams, he's been playing well. Thought to be maybe like the second scorer, but he's pretty much 1A right now. What do you make of his growth this year?
So Keith showed this at the beginning of last season. He started out really strong. He's an athletic freak. He can do anything on the floor. It's obvious he's kind of leaps and bounds above other players athletically. The problem with him is kind of staying mentally locked in and staying consistent. I mean, the same thing as the larger team. He had 18 points against Tulane. 16 of them were in the first half.
Yeah.
He came out, I think he had 3 turnovers in the second half, or at least started, 3 turnovers in the first few minutes. So that's more points than he even scored in the second half.
Right.
And that's just the problem is early the UConn game when they played really well, he didn't play that great, and he's had games where he's kind of, whether he gets in foul trouble or it just doesn't start out well for him, and I think he kind of mentally goes out of the game, and then that impacts the way he plays. And that's what happened in the second half. Starts out, had a couple bad turnovers, the wheels start to fall off a little bit, and he kind of just seemed to go into a shell. And so whether it's the team in general or specific players, I think you could talk about Jaron Cumberland that same way. Keith, definitely, you got to kind of stay mentally focused and checked in for the whole 40 minutes of the game. And
that's what I was going to ask you about next. What's going on with Jaron Cumberland, man? What is the problem?
So, I think it's been documented at this point. He didn't do much work in the offseason. He had some injuries, nagging injuries, lingering injuries, a little procedure on his foot to kind of clean some things up. And I think he was just a little bit out of shape, coming into the season. And so then we had the whole coach's decision, benching, whatever you want to call it, against Alabama A&M early. I think the relationship between him and Brandon is good. I think he's starting to feel healthier and be in shape, and you can see that a little bit. He's played really well of late. He didn't score at all in the first half against Tulane. Only took 1 shot.
Yeah,
but I think he had 4 assists and 5 rebounds, or vice versa. He came out and had 10 in the second half. So I didn't look at that not scoring in the first half as necessarily a bad thing. They were up. They played well in the first half, and I think he did some other things to help the team. He's starting to get his confidence back.
Well,
I think that's the biggest part. Early in the season, he wasn't going to the basket. He was settling a lot for jumpers or threes or whatever it is. Especially against Tennessee, you saw him attacking the basket. UConn too. And you saw that a little bit in the second half against Tulane, but again, it keeps coming back to this team. They don't seem to be able to always sustain it, whether it's 40 minutes of a game or half to half or over a stretch of a couple games. They can do it in isolated moments where they look really good, and they have that in them, but they haven't been able to do it consistently over stretches. And that's, we know Jaron can do that because he did it last season. He was Conference Player of the Year. We've seen Keith, have really strong moments, but for whatever reason, this team just hasn't been able to put all those pieces together for a couple games in a row.
You hate to see it. Well, hopefully they can get it together. He can figure it out. The team can kind of figure out their identity, and we'll see what happens from this point forward. Well, you're sticking with us.
Yes, sir.
You're sticking with us. Coming up, we're talking more Bearcats, but we're talking football, so don't go away. More with Justin Williams after this. Welcome back. Bowl season is wrapping up, and UC got win number 11 in the Birmingham Bowl, a 32-point victory over Boston College. Justin Williams from the Athletics still hanging out with me talking Bearcats football. So you were there.
Yes, sir.
That crazy weather delay, BC wanted to call it. Luke Fickell was like, nuh-uh, no, you're not. You got Sam Crosa dancing in the locker room. How crazy was that experience?
It was wild. We're just up in the press box and kind of getting updates when we can. We can see out on the field, so we can see people leaving and coming off. And, lightning delay, they're pulling people out of the stands. There's a couple of UC fans who tried to, gut it out and stay out. They had security come and pull them out. There was definitely moments where we thought, all right, they're going to call this. And, Boston College had been in this situation last year when their game got called. Ended up being 92 minutes, I think, the official clocked in for the delay. And it was a sloppy game. It hadn't been long. There's 7:55 left in the first quarter. But I think it was 21 yards on 15 combined plays for both teams. And then they came out of that delay, and UC just, took it to them.
They did what they do. Yeah, so very encouraging. Desmond Ridder looked like Desmond Ridder.
Right.
105 yards on the ground, 3 touchdowns. How encouraging is his performance and the overall performance of the team building some momentum into the offseason?
Yeah, for Desmond specifically, I think if not for the torrential downpour, UC wanted to come into this game and air it out a little bit.
Yeah.
They wanted to throw it, and it just, with the rain, they weren't able to do that. But I think that was a response to Ridder being hurt and couldn't play in one of those Memphis games. They struggled down the stretch throwing the ball just because of the shoulder injury he had. But I think you saw last night, he didn't do a ton through the air.
Yeah.
Part of that was the elements. But he's just such a dangerous player, whether it's with his legs or, just his overall athletic ability. And he showed that. Part of it was, I think they just overmatched Boston College, and they were a better team, and they were just running the ball down their throats with whoever it was. Mike Warren had 105 yards too. But I think you saw, going into the offseason, I think Ritter reminded people why he's been the starting quarterback and what he offers the team. And just the team in general, Fickell and the staff talk about those bowl games as a celebration of the season. But going into this season, he talked about that Military Bowl win they got last year.
Yeah.
And what a big deal that was for the program. Heading into the offseason, moving into, having some success and trying to continue that going. And you could tell the way that he and Desmond Ritter and all those guys talked about it after the game, that game mattered to them. And a lot of people might, say, hey, it's low stakes, it's the Birmingham Bowl, it's after New Year's, people are back at work, it wasn't for a New Year's Six Bowl or anything like that.
Right.
Why does it matter that much? But it clearly matters to the staff and to the players. And I think if we saw what last year did for them this season, that's a good sign that they got another kind of big bowl win going into the offseason.
All right, Justin. Well, I appreciate you taking the time, talking UC. Come back on anytime. We try to get these schedules together.
Let's do it.
Get you back on. We appreciate you taking the time.
Sounds good. Thanks, Reggie.
All right. Thank you very much. All right, we will be right back to wrap up the show. Don't go away. Well, it's been real. It's been fun. It's been real fun, but we got to go. I'd like to thank Mo Egger and Justin Williams for joining me tonight, and to my village who helped put this all together. Hope you enjoyed the show. Let's do it again next Sunday. Until then, thanks for watching. Have a good night and a very blessed week.